Hello and welcome to the Croft Racing Circuit in Darlington, County Durham. A foggy morning greeted the competitors of the 8th and final round of the British Rallycross Championship. But the sun has now burned most of that away. As the fans eagerly await the first race of the day, we join Edel trackside.
Welcome to Croft for the final round of the Kumho Tyres British Rallycross Championship. And of course the title needs to be decided today, and it really is neck and neck between Ollie O'Donovan and Andrew Jordan. But of course the Irishman Ollie has a slight advantage over young Jordan in the Ford Focus. And if last weekend is anything to go by, we're in for some superb racing here in Croft.
Well, Edel, there were certainly plenty of talking points after Mondello, not least of which was the fantastic Supercar A final, which saw title contenders Ollie O'Donovan and Andrew Jordan trade blows throughout the race. More drama followed when Andrew Jordan was deemed ineligible for the Super Final under Irish regulations. And Edel finds out how Andrew is feeling about the whole affair today.
Andrew Jordan, you weren't too happy the last time I was talking to you in Mondello.
No, Mondello didn't go according to plan, but you know, Mondello was last week, so I've gathered my thoughts, and you know, it's all to play for today. But I think it's going to be fairly hard with.
I want to know what he's
him.
saying. I really want to know what he's
Ollie,
saying.
you want to hear all these secrets.
Yeah, I want to hear all these inside lines he's talking about today.
No, you know, it is going to be hard because I've got to have someone in between myself and Ollie, and you know, I can't control where Ollie finishes, so you know, I'm just going to try and win the event, and that's as much as I can do. You know, it's my last Rallycross for a while, I think, so I'm just going to try and enjoy it and hopefully have some good close racing.
And Ollie, what's your plan today? I guess to keep this young fella behind you.
Well, I got to keep the young fella behind me. Like, he's less than half my age, so it might be my last chance of winning here, and he's got 20 more years to have a go at it, you know. So I mean, he's very quick, he's very fit and a good package, but I'm definitely going to try and make it hard for him, and you know, I'm going to try and beat him.
Just snatching third on the line at the Mondello Super Final, Dermot Carnegie feels his Fiesta is finally running as it should.
We've had a few teething problems with the new car, and I had to build up confidence in it and things like that, but I think we're getting there now.
So with the analysis done, we go to the first of our heats, and Andrew Jordan is the man on pole position in this. We go on board with Jordan at the start, Mad Mark in the centre, and then on the outside Dermot Carnegie getting a blistering run off the line as he goes up to Clairvaux for the first time, leading now from the young contender Andrew Jordan. Mad Mark running there in third, but Dermot Carnegie really having this Fiesta now fired up, typical Carnegie style, nice wide entrance to the corner. Andrew Jordan there keeping nice and tight on him though. He's watching for any opportunity to get through and improve on his times. Getting the dust from Carnegie's Fiesta now in his eye as he turns onto the rough here through the right-hander. These two making a good getaway from the rest of the field. Jordan looks at the outside line, just momentarily touching the back end of Carnegie's Fiesta there. No major damage done, just rearranging his front bumper. Lovely dry conditions here at Croft this weekend, and now you can get some notion of the gap these have opened up over Mad Mark. Kevin Proctor, George Tracy also in this, and Carnegie there going very, very wide and managed to hold it all together. Kept the momentum through the corner, dead ahead of Andrew Jordan. Not a lot of visibility though when you go on board. Jordan again looking out around the outside, trying to nip through on the inside, and suddenly he finds traction out there. But Carnegie, the wily old fox, keeps the door closed on the inside. Now they go side by side. Jordan gets it on the left-hander though. Wonderful piece of driving here by Andrew Jordan. He went around the outside but knew that as it turned left, they come back onto the tarmac now. And Jordan with a good lead being built up over Dermot Carnegie. A lot of time and effort being put in by Andrew Jordan at the Bill Gwynn School, and certainly paying off handsomely as he comes home here on his last lap up to take the win. Let's hope we don't put the curse of the commentator on him. He certainly didn't enjoy the best of good look at Mondello Park, more off the track than on, it has to be said. But nonetheless, this looks like a terrific recovery from this young man, and certainly a name to contend with in the future. Well, he's delighted to have had first blood there against Dermot Carnegie. Having set one of the top 8 fastest times of the day whilst finishing third in the B final, Steve Hill was thankful for the Irish regulations that allowed him into the Super Final to take his first win.
Steve Hill, you had a fantastic win last week in Mondello.
Yeah, we managed to be in the right place at the right time, keep out of trouble, and like I said, we needed a win, and we ended up with it. It was good.
Yeah, it was a great way to finish off your season.
Yeah, we were a bit surprised because the day wasn't going that well. We had a lot of overheating problems and a failure in one of the of a drive shaft in one of the heats, so we were lucky to get where we were, and thank heaven for the Irish rules. We managed to qualify for the super final, and a win was there.
It's been a season to forget for Pat Duran. After another retirement last week in Mondello, Pat is hoping he can end the season on a high here at Croft.
Like I say, we've not had a very good season, but we want to try and finish off with a win.
Well, Pat Duran is in a strong position in this heat. He's on the outside of the front row. We go on board here with Steve Hill, as we can see up the road, Per Eklund there in the Saab getting a very good start. Ollie O'Donovan coming through from row 2 of the grid, now challenging Eklund in the Saab up into the first corner. But Pat Duran in the Fiesta, this is the second time today we've had a Fiesta lead away from the lights in one of these heats, and Duran has gone really wide. Ollie O'Donovan almost getting through on the inside, and O'Donovan muscles his way through there. No sympathy for Duran whatsoever. Pat Duran finding no grip there on the outside, running out wide, on board with Steve Hill, and no visibility for him. And that's Per Eklund, while Steve Hill has just thumped the back end of Per Eklund's Saab, and you can see him just, I'd say, saying some mild words to himself there. He's got his hands up to his helmet, and that has brought out the red flag. Well, there goes the watering Bowser as they close the stable door now that the horse has bolted. A lot of drivers don't like to see the circuit being watered. It slows it down, but nonetheless very necessary from a safety point of view. Well, we're back with the restarted race then. Ollie O'Donovan in the lead from Pat Duran, getting the work over there from Per Eklund in the Saab, showing no ill effects from that, coming together with Steve Hill. Unfortunately, we understand that Steve Hill's car is damaged. He won't be out in this heat, but hopefully he will be able to get it repaired in time for the later heats. Ollie O'Donovan now leading from Per Eklund in the Saab. Then Pat Duran keeping well up with the Saab there over the bumps as they turn onto the rough. Per Eklund there just dropping back now from Ollie O'Donovan. O'Donovan getting a great run here through the rough. This car really is superb, and O'Donovan really has taken to this Rallycross in great style. Just his second season, half a season last year. He's on his last lap. Oh, and Per Eklund there almost spinning out. Pat Duran thought he had an opportunity to get through, but no such luck. He's going to have to settle for third as Ollie O'Donovan takes the win.
Steve, you're just in from Heat 1. Well, you didn't exactly finish it. What happened?
I didn't actually get it started. I mean, obviously in the first run we all got lost in the dust. I hit Per, and we've done a phenomenal amount of damage to the car. It's cracked the gearbox. It's pushed the turbo into the engine, and it's completely destroyed the intercooler. They put a spare intercooler on and it's split, so we've got to try and cobble something together now and see if we can get going for the second heat.
After watching Frenchman Olivier Anne take the A final win in Mondello, George Tracy is happy with his latest acquisition.
And were you happy with his performance last week?
Oh, I think he's a great driver. He's well used to the car. It's going to take me a little bit of time just to get used to the car, but it should be fun.
Unfortunately, a rear axle breakage put paid to Per Eklund's run at Mondello Park, but the Swedish Rallycross star is back again today in the Saab.
Per, the lads are really fighting it out here today. You've got Andrew and Ollie both up for the title.
Yes.
You've been in this position yourself, though, a few times.
Yes, many times. I am happy, so I have nothing to do, only have fun here.
Well, Steve Hill has managed to scramble together some repairs to his Mitsubishi, and he's on pole for this one. We go on board with Dermot Carnegie. He's on row 2 of the grid. On the far side is Steve Hill, Andy Grant in the centre, George Tracy here near us. Ollie O'Donovan giving him the work over, and O'Donovan just nudging the back end of Tracy's C4. That brings him in close contact with the wall, and O'Donovan now leads down to Clairvaux for the first time. And as the heat progresses, we go back to get a look at this from a different angle this time. You can see Ollie O'Donovan there in the centre, just trying to make his way through. Andy Grant getting nudged, which in turn turned him into George Tracy and damaged the front suspension on Tracy's car. Here's another look at it, this time from on board with O'Donovan. And he heads away Here he is now at the end of this heat as he comes up to take the checker flag, leading home from Dermot Carnegie.
George, what's wrong with the C4?
Oh, well, we had a bit of a shunt there on the second heat there. I think Ollie shunted Andy Grant and Andy shunted into me, and I fell in love with the wall, so we have the front of the car wrecked just at the moment. But hopefully we're going to get it out for the third heat. We've a bent shaft and a bent steering arm, so we'll see what happens.
You have a great team behind you. I'm sure it'll be out.
Oh, well, hopefully we'll have the parts to get it out. We'll see what happens.
Well, thankfully the fog has lifted here in Croft and the sun has come out. We've also had some superb driving to go along with it. Join us again after the break.
Welcome back to part 2 of the programme here at Croft. And full marks to George Tracy for the pleasant way in which he's taken his travails in the opening heat. His mechanics have done a sterling job, and George has made it to the grid for Heat 3. We go on board with Pat Duran at the start of this one from row 2 of the grid. Up ahead of him is Dermot Carnegie, George Tracy in the centre, and the savvy Swede, Per Eklund in the Saab on the far side. And as they get away, Pat Duran there getting a nudge from George Tracy, comes across the... Oh, and he's lost the rear suspension of that. Matt Mark just ploughed into him there. Certainly couldn't help it, and not for the first time today. That has brought out the red flags. Let's have a look at that in replay again. Just as he came through there, George Tracy clipped the back end of Pat Duran's car, putting Pat across the circuit. Matt Mark certainly couldn't help it, but ploughed into that rear suspension. Now we see it from on board, Pat Duran's view of things. He gets knocked across the circuit, as indeed does our onboard camera. Here we go then with a shortened grid for the restart. Andrew Jordan there on row 2 of the grid, getting alongside Per Eklund, but he's on the outside on the run-up to Clairvaux. Blistering start from Dermot Carnegie in the little Fiesta. He's got a lot of his previous talent back. Certainly that car didn't do him any favours earlier on this season, but both himself and the car are back up to their usual high standard. Dermot Carnegie then leading from Andrew Jordan, and this time he will be desperate to ensure that Jordan stays behind him. Per Eklund has a look at the inside line and very easily gets ahead of Jordan there now. Has Andrew Jordan got a problem with the Ford Focus? Per Eklund closes up behind the Fiesta. He makes that car look very nimble indeed. We're still out in front and on board with Dermot Carnegie. He's looking very serious, but much happier now at this end of the season. He's got this Fiesta hooked up the way he likes it, and that is Andrew Jordan. Oh, and bad luck for Andrew Jordan. He has got a problem with that car. Back on track though, it's now down to 2. George Tracy is out of this one. Dermot Carnegie leading from Per Eklund up to the final corner, and they go side by side then out of that tight hairpin down through the rough before they come back onto the tarmac up to take the checker flag. Dermot Carnegie takes the win, Per Eklund second. Meanwhile, Adele goes down to Andrew Jordan's garage to find out what's gone wrong.
Andrew, you're back in. What's after gone wrong?
Nothing's wrong. We just said if we didn't make the start, we don't want to fill the rad with full of mud, and we're sat behind Dermot. It's so wet. It's just so much mud. So we'd rather give the lads a bit more time, get it ready for the final. You know, at worst we'll have to start second, but we'd rather do that.
Okay, so panic's over.
Yeah, no panic.
Well, that's not the first time this season that Andrew Jordan has given us cause for concern. But with that matter cleared up, we turn to the super modified class, and Adele is chatting with Dave Bellerby.
Dave Bellerby, congratulations. You won your super modified championship last Sunday in Mondello Park.
Yeah, we had a good run, and we did what we needed to, and clinched that. Now it's the rest of it's to race for. Numbers on the door on the super final, and the overall BRDA championship.
Taking second in the championship after a tough weekend at Mondello is Ben Power.
And what's on the agenda for today? A win would be great, even though you have secured your second place.
Yeah, we're just here for fun, but if we can win, that's a bonus, so we're going to have a go.
Third place overall is good, but not good enough for James Bird. who has a few tricks up his sleeve for next year.
And James, any plans for next season? You know, you had such a great season this year. You'd be looking for more of the same?
Well, yeah, we're going to do exactly the same next year, and I'm actually trying to put a deal together at the moment to sponsor Dave Bellaby to go into another class, because I'm fed up with him.
You've just had enough of him. How about we throw him into the minis?
That sounds like a great idea. He'll still win, but get rid of him.
Well, James Bird would certainly ruffle a few feathers with that as we go to the grid for the super modified heat. On pole position is Dave Brown, as James Bird just comes into shot here, into his grid position. Michael Bowick there on row 2. Alongside him is Ben Power. We go on board with Ben Power in the KA. Mike Seller then on the outside. Liam Doran there further back. As your pole sitter Dave Brown gets bogged down on the line. David Binks didn't get a great start either. But up at the head of the field it is James Bird and going Michael Bowick across the circuit there and clouts into Mike Seller. He just went across, hit the barrier and then speared across the track, clouting into Mike Seller, and that has again brought out the red flags. We get a look at this from a different angle this time, and just a touch there from Liam Duran, the back end of the Audi TT, then got clobbered by Mike Seller's car just as it came to rest, back out onto the track. Unfortunately there nobody was seriously injured in that, but it certainly looked very, very dangerous indeed for a moment or two there. Here we go then back to the restart. David Binks is now effectively on pole with James Bird alongside him, and coming through the centre as you'd expect is Dave Bellerby on board with Ben Power as he follows through there. Liam Duran up ahead of him, turning onto the rough then. Bird with a good lead built up over Dave Bellerby, but then you must consider Bellerby has come right for the back of the grid and he tries to make it round the outside. Shouldn't be a difficulty in this Exige. It is a very, very nimble car indeed. Just getting alongside James Bird, and no wonder James Bird is going to invest some of his racing fund for next year in getting Dave Bellerby to move to another class, because certainly he's been in a class of his own all this year, leading away, winning the championship. But a lot of quality drivers and quality machinery left in his wake, but certainly they've had a terrific year of racing. As we get back out onto the tarmac then, Dave Bellerby coming through there ahead of James Bird. Then we look back up the field and go on board with Ben Power in the KA, a very nimble little car this, as he tries to make it round the outside of the Renault Clio. Flames from the back end of the Clio there, and then Power has a look at the other line through the chicane there, very, very tight indeed. They go onto the rough. It's been watered now, which thankfully is improving the visibility, keeping the dust down, as Dave Bellerby comes home to take the checker flag ahead of James Bird second and Ben Power coming home there in third. He was inches away from another win, but second place in Mondello was enough to clinch the Junior Rallycross Championship for Ben Renison.
It's all down to my dad and Bob, really. They've helped me dramatically. If it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be here, so it's all thanks to my dad, really.
He may have won the championship, but it's not his day today, as Ben exits the event after damaging his Mini in the first heat. With her rivals all finishing higher than her at Mondello, Samantha Thom has left herself with it all to do if she's to finish second in the championship today.
And you'll be hoping to finish second in your championship?
You'll have to get a good result today to finish second in the championship. It's between me and Russ and George Tracy.
Russ Simpson is on pole in for the first of our mini heats. Samantha Thom in the centre, Jess Gwynn on the outside in the front row with that multicoloured little Mini. Beautifully turned out car of hers. Chris Anderson there just coming into shot. He's on row 2 as they head away. And a good start there from the outside from Jess Gwynn, but coming through on the inside is Russ Simpson before they turn onto the right-hander. Being followed through by Samantha Thom there. She tries to get through on the inside. Running in third just at the moment, Russ Simpson in the lead. Then we have Jess Gwynn in second, Samantha Thom third, Chris Anderson there in fourth, and already Samantha Thom makes another move, dives through on the inside. Has to back off though. Hold on for that third place. Just showing you one lap of this heat as Russ Simpson comes home to take the win. Jess Gwynn comes home in second and Samantha Thom takes third.
As you can see behind me, fans of British Rallycross have come out in full force for the final time this year as they cheer on their favourite drivers out on the track. Join us again after the break.
Welcome back to part 3 of the programme here in Croft, where there's still plenty of activity going on as the drivers break for lunch. And while everyone takes time out to refuel, Edel took time out to speak with the Simpsons.
I've just bumped into Glenn, Ashley and Russ Simpson. Lads, you're all here today in Croft. Glenn, are you the brains behind this operation?
I don't know about the brains, but I'm in charge of them, yes.
So you do all the mechanics for the lads?
I try and do best I can. With me and friends, we all rally around and get the cars going.
And Ashley, you're doing so well in the stock hatch. This is your second season.
Yeah, it's gone well. I'm surprised how well it's gone, but we'll just see how it finishes today.
And Russ, you're racing in the juniors, of course. Are you happy with your season so far?
Yeah, I'd like to try and get third place in the championship, which will be good, but yeah, I'll have to see how it goes.
And what would you like to, what's your future hopes for the lads? Would you like to see them move up into different classes?
I'd love to see them move into different classes. We need sponsorship and we just need lots of time, but we want to go further if we can. We're hoping we can. They do very well and I'm very proud of them.
Last week in Mondello Park, Tony Lynch could have taken the Stock Hatch Championship, but it wasn't to be. And today, Tony goes head-to-head for the title with Julian Godfrey.
Between me and Julian, it's quite simple. Whoever gets the fastest time of the day and wins the race takes the championship. I mean, I've beat Julian here once before, so let's hope I can do it twice.
Well, the first head-to-head happens in this heat. Julian Godfrey is on pole. David Ewing in the centre. Tony Lynch here on the right-hand side, the outside of the front row. Craig Brown and Ryan Lawford are on row 2. Ash Simpson leaving himself lots to do for the back row of the grid. But it is Julian Godfrey who goes into an early lead, bringing Tony Lynch with him as Ryan Lawford also comes through there. David Ewing getting dropped down to 4th at this point. Julian Godfrey in that distinctive blue Peugeot of his out in front. Tony Lynch then running in second. Ryan Lawford third. David Ewing is 4th. Through the chicane then back onto the dirt. Julian Godfrey, who had a terrific run at Mondello Park last weekend, now leading from Tony Lynch. Tony there getting sideways as he turns onto the rough, but keeping well in contact with his championship rival up in front. Craig Brown getting sideways as he comes through the corner there ahead of Ash Simpson. Then with David Ewing from the centre of the grid, now finding himself at the tail of the field as they come back out onto the tarmac though. Good battles happening right the way through the field here. Ash Simpson going the long way around, but it pays dividends as he gets ahead of Craig Brown. Julian Godfrey though still holding on to the slimmest of leads from Tony Lynch. Through the little chicane then. These Peugeots evergreen, they really are a superb little rallycross car. Inexpensive in motor racing terms and certainly give you a lot of power, but look at that, the drag. Tony Lynch got out of that corner and now they go side by side and Lynch there getting a little nudge. Well, self-inflicted I would have thought. Ryan Lawford now sees an opportunity to get himself on the second step of the podium. But Tony Lynch manages to hold on to that second spot, coming back out onto the tarmac again. Julian Godfrey has bought himself a little bit of time now in this as Lynch heads off in hot pursuit. Back through the right-hander again and using all of the tarmac now and then some as Tony Lynch really scrabbling now to get a very quick time. He needs to get on pole position for the final if he can at all. But not having any luck, he's now getting the work over from Ryan Lawford, who has a look at the outside line, but that pace has helped him to close the gap to Julian Godfrey, and he's right up behind Godfrey now. Takes a slingshot turn at the inside, but finds Ryan Lawford there, and Ryan Lawford gets through. Ash Simpson now coming up to challenge. Tony Lynch manages to hold on to that third place, only just up at the head of the field. It's Julian Godfrey then from Ryan Lawford. then Tony Lynch, then Ash Simpson, then Craig Brown. They come through the mist, and Tony Lynch, they're throwing everything at this one. Ash Simpson there going around the outside, trying to get ahead of Tony Lynch, but this is not the day to try to put one over on Tony Lynch, because he really is driving as hard as he possibly can, perhaps overdriving, that has brought him back down to third place, challenging Julian Godfrey the early part of this race. Now tucked in behind Ryan Lawford there in third, and really needs to get ahead of Lawford. Gives him a little nudge there as Ash Simpson comes around the outside, and that has put Tony Lynch back up into second. They're on their last lap. Julian Godfrey comes up to take the checker flag. Tony Lynch comes home in second. Craig Brown takes third. With the heats over, it's now time for the A finals, and Edel catches up again with Dermot Carnegie, who qualifies third on the grid alongside title contenders Jordan and O'Donovan.
Dermot, there's such a great battle going on here today between Andrew and Ollie. You've been in that position many a time yourself before. How are they going to be feeling?
I'd say both of them would be feeling fairly nervous now going out for the A final. But like, it is all to play for, so you have to finish the A final to get into the super final where the real points are. So they just want to get a good result here in the A final and just watch their step.
And Dermot, if the lads were to come up and ask you for a little bit of advice, what would you say to them?
Go like hell.
Ollie, you're preparing yourself now for the Super A final. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling quite good. I mean, the important thing for me all day is I wanted to be sitting right behind Andrew, and I am. So, I mean, I can afford to let Andrew win the race, and I'm quite happy to be behind him. I probably might get him off the line, but the chance would be that we could have a bit of carriage in the bottom corner. So I think I might opt for the safer route.
Andrew, you're just getting ready now for the Supercar A final. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit anxious, but I just want to put on a good show for everyone who's come and watched it. It's good for the championship that's going down to the wire. So see what we can do.
Well, if a scriptwriter wrote this, you wouldn't believe it, because they go head to head on the front of the grid for the A final. Andrew Jordan there, Ollie O'Donovan next. And we look rearwards from the car of Ollie O'Donovan, and we look forwards from the car of Steve Hill. Dermot Carnegie there. Concentration, just gives a little nod to say he's ready. He's here on the right hand side of your screen. Pat Duran is on row 2 with Per Eklund getting a very good start there from row 2, and Ollie O'Donovan has got ahead of Andrew Jordan at the start. Dermot Carnegie then on the Fiesta on the outside. So it is Peugeot, Focus, Fiesta, Saab in that order as they come back out onto the tarmac. Great drive off the line here by Ollie O'Donovan in the Peugeot 306 ahead of Andrew Jordan as they all stream through the little chicane. O'Donovan just driving for all he's worth now that he's out in front. He wants to keep out of trouble, out of danger. Andrew Jordan there closing up behind him. He's ready to pounce. O'Donovan needs to keep it nice and tight. Second gear corner here as he gets the power on, then coming back onto the rough ahead of Andrew Jordan. Jordan sticking well with the Peugeot that come back onto the tarmac. Then Dermot Carnegie further back. All very clean so far in this race. O'Donovan then driving excellent line as Jordan just throws the Focus around with gay abandon, and you would think that he does seem to have a little bit more power in this car than the Peugeot in front. So O'Donovan now with it all to do to keep the Focus behind him. Jordan there, slowing right down through the right-hander. Dermot Carnegie has closed up. Per Eklund there in fourth. Then Pat Duran missing the rear bumper of the Fiesta. Well, he's towing it along behind him. Great battle though at the front of the field. Wonderful clean racing between these two championship contenders. And certainly from the interviews we've seen, they seem to be good friends off the track. But Andrew Jordan there has made a daring move around the outside. Oh, and he's just overdone it. He's just spun out there. Well, that is the worst of good luck from a very brave young driver. Andrew Jordan there, a super maneuver by him. Perhaps a little bit speculative, but just didn't come off for him. 9 times out of 10, they won't come off for you. And Andrew Jordan decided that was a do-or-die move around the outside. Well, that has moved Dermot Carnegie into second place. We watch up the road now as he closes up behind Ollie O'Donovan. Carnegie with the wipers on, giving the work over, and Per Eklund down the outside there. What a wonderful drive by Per Eklund. Well, we called him the savvy Swede earlier on, and we were absolutely right. Ollie O'Donovan now seems to be struggling a little bit there. Dermot Carnegie close right up behind him. He's now giving him the work over, and Carnegie fancies his chances round the outside, and he gets ahead. No, not quite. O'Donovan comes back at him. O'Donovan is not out of this one yet by a long chalk. He's running there in second. Carnegie's third. And O'Donovan getting bogged down. Well, there's lots of people passing him now. Pat Duran has a go there. So O'Donovan may well have a problem. We go on board with Steve Hill in the Mitsubishi. Kevin Proctor there just ahead of Steve Hill. Pat Duran on the outside. Proctor getting ahead of Duran. Steve Hill fancies his chances also. Ollie O'Donovan now coming under pressure from Kevin Proctor. He's certainly got a problem with that car. He's nursing that Peugeot to the line, if I know anything. Back on the tarmac. We're staying with Ollie O'Donovan here. Cannot detect any funny sounds from his car, but then with the amount of noise out there, it's quite difficult to do that. But he's certainly having some sort of a problem with that, because there is no way that the rest of the field would get ahead of O'Donovan quite so easy. Steve Hill goes for the outside line there, and Andrew Jordan makes a comeback. Andrew Jordan now is right up behind O'Donovan. Steve Hill goes out wide. They're on their last lap. Steve Hill now beginning to dominate in this. O'Donovan whooshed out there onto the grass, and clearly having some sort of, yes, you can see him gesticulating there in the car. Ollie O'Donovan has a problem with that. He's just about going to be able to nurse it home.
Ollie, it was touch and go there for a while, but you've made it to the supercar final.
Yeah, unfortunately we're on the back of the grid. I mean, we had a great start there on the air final, but I broke a shaft. It's my first dry shaft breaking all year. We had a very comfortable lead, and everything was going too good, and we ran out of luck.
Andrew, what a race you just had there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hard race than it needs to be. I tried a stupid move on Ollie. I spun it away really, and then I just got my head down. I was determined to get back up there. I think Ollie broke a shaft or something in that race, and I got back to about fourth, but could have just lost the championship. That stupid mistake.
Well, there you have confirmation of the results, and after all that, we're going to take a break. Join us in part 4.
Welcome back to Croft for the final round of the Kumho Tyres British Rallycross Championship. We've had some fantastic racing so far here today, but of course there's more of the same to come.
Well, we go straight to the action then for the super modified A final. Dave Bellerby is the man on pole position. You're watching Ben Power there. In the centre is Mike Seller. James Burns on the outside, on the right hand side of the black and orange car here. Somebody moved there at the back. We won't mention to anybody if you don't. And away they go then up to Clairvaux for the first time. And it is James Bird who leads. Well, there's a turn up for the books. Dave Bellerby toes in behind him. Then Liam Duran, then Ben Power, then Mike Seller. All line astern as they come through the corners. But it is James Bird out in front in the Clio, and he really would love to put one over on his good friend David Bellerby. Bellerby there running in second. Liam Duran then just getting a nudge there as Mike Seller gets ahead of him, and that looks very terminal, certainly for this run for Liam Duran. That front suspension knocked out of his car. Dave Bellerby then still not managing to get ahead of James Bird. Michael Boak there running out wide towards the back of the field. Ben Power ahead of him. James Bird still holding on to that lead and not giving an inch as Dave Bellerby tries to prise his way through. It's a can opener he'd need to get through there. He goes out the outside. James Bird defending on the inside though. And Bird really is having a storming drive. Well, he's showing the signs of a little nudge to the back there as some of the rear wing goes down on the tyre, but that seems to have worn itself away. Bellerby makes a run out the outside. James Bird comes back at him in the inside, but just the power of the Lotus Exige there, just able to get away from the Clio. come through the very tight right-hander, Dave Bellerby. Oh, and Bellerby's got a problem. Bellerby is off. He's pulled off the circuit. And his car has just burst into flames. Well, Dave Bellerby, who would have known, but he was certainly out of that car very, very quick. What a way to end the season. This championship winner, Dave Bellerby, in that wonderful little Lotus. Let's hope that the fire damage is not too serious on that car. Meanwhile, back on track, Ben Power now with a manoeuvre round the outside. James Bird defending on the inside. What a wonderful drive from Ben Power right at the end of the season. Drives round the outside, gets himself into the lead then from James Bird. Well, now with Dave Bellerby out of this race, the rest of the contenders in this super modified class really are beginning to show their pace. Ben Power from James Bird, then Mike Seller. We go on board with James Bird as he wrestles the Clio, and he really is throwing everything at it. But just look at the pace of the KA up ahead as he comes out onto the tarmac. The two Renaults now, nose to tail, these two. Mike Seller there tucked in behind James Bird. Bird in the orange and black, Mike Seller in the yellow and black, coming back out onto the tarmac. Next up is David Binks in the Lotus. All nose to tail now through the little chicane, with James Bird doing a great job. Meanwhile, Ben Power is away off up the road. Bird is running in second, Mike Seller in third. Seller now with a look around the outside. David Binks goes grass cutting there, manages to get it back on track. Mike Seller losing out, but still holding on to third place. Oh, and David Binks just overcooks it there ahead of Michael Boyd. But they come up to take the checker flag. Ben Power takes the win. James Bird home in second, Mike Seller in third. Well, James Bird certainly enjoyed that race. Confirmation of the result then. Ben Power the winner, James Bird second, Mike Seller third.
Ben Power, congratulations. You've just had another race of your life.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was just expecting to finish in the top 3 or 4, and everybody sort of like got out my way, but yeah, it was a good day.
It's also been a good day for Tony Lynch, who takes the Stock Hatch Championship after finishing 4th in the A final. Julian Godfrey was a non-starter in the race, so 4th was enough to net the title for Tony.
So what's next year for Tony Lynch? Stock Hatch again, or are you going to move up a little bit?
No, I have actually built a brand new Stock Hatch car, another 205. I probably will. They've brought a new class out which is 616 valve, but I think I'd less like to go and defend my title, really. You know what I mean? Not very often you become a British Stock Hatch champion, and I'd like to go and defend the title if I can.
Well, future champions in the making here as we go to the grid for the Junior Rallycross A final. Russ Simpson on pole, George Tracy in the centre, Conor Flynn 580 near it. Samantha Thom and Chris Anderson are on road 2. Road 3 has Matt Thompson as away they go up to Clairvaux for the first time, with George Tracy leading from Russ Simpson. And Simpson then and Conor Flynn going door handle to door handle there. And Conor Flynn getting the better of it so far, shipping some slight damage to the side of his Mini. Samantha Thom coming through there, now up to 3rd place. Matt Thompson fancies his chances along the inside, but Samantha Thom there, very defiant mood, holds on to that 3rd place. Conor Flynn comes back at her though, round the outside. He now takes 3rd. George Tracy still in the lead from Russ Simpson. And a lot of biffing and banging going on there. Matt Thompson involved in that particular one. Samantha Thom losing out a little bit then. Back on track, Tracy leading from Russ Simpson. These two with a battle of their own up in front. The rest of the field squabbling over that 3rd position. Held at the moment by Conor Flynn. George Tracy really is driving the wheels of his little Mini to stay ahead of Russ Simpson. And Russ Simpson gets alongside him. A great drag out of that corner. Gets Simpson with his nose in front. As they come up to the right-hander now, Simpson there slots in ahead of George Tracy Jr. Tracy then goes back at him again, round the outside, through the hairpin there, very, very tight as they come back up onto the tarmac. Russ Simpson from George Tracy, then Conor Flynn, these three now disputing the lead. gap opened up to the rest of the field, as you can see. Coming back up to the little chicane then. It's still Russ Simpson from George Tracy Jr., Conor Flynn. Then a gap back to Matt Thompson, I think it is, who's running in fourth. Can just about see him there in the background. Simpson now coming onto the rough. Up to the chicane and the tight right hairpin then. Conor Flynn there disputing now position with George Tracy. Flynn on the outside getting terrific drag around the outside there on the last lap as they exit the hairpin then. Russ Simpson comes home to take the checker flag. Conor Flynn comes home in second with George Tracy third. Well, there you have confirmation of the results. We join Edel down trackside as she gives us a preview of the super final.
Well, out here on the grid, it's the supercar final, and it is, of course, the championship decider between Ollie O'Donovan and Andrew Jordan. The pressure these guys must be under right now. This is the race they've been waiting for all season, where the hard work and determination pays off. Who's going to take the British title?
Well, it's come right down to the wire, Edel, and over the next couple of minutes we're going to know, as I said earlier on, if you had written this in the script, nobody would believe you, but here it is happening for real. Per Eklund is on pole, Dermot Carnegie in the centre, Kevin Proctor on the outside of the front row, then Andrew Jordan alongside Steve Hill. Ollie O'Donovan has to settle for row 3 with Andy Grant as they come up to Clairview, and as they do, it is Dermot Carnegie with the drop on everyone. Steve Hill through into second, Per Eklund is third, Ollie O'Donovan is fourth, but now Andrew Jordan comes into fourth. Ollie O'Donovan now goes to fifth. Dermot Carnegie, though, still in the lead. The championship protagonist there running nose to tail. Carnegie out in front with a good gap over Steve Hill. Well, Steve's season has really come good at Mondello and here again at Croft. Per Eklund, though, looks for the inside line here through the right-hander. Steve Hill, can he fight him off? Indeed he does. Tries to make him round the outside. Oh, and Andrew Jordan there just prizing his way through, and he goes side by side with Per Eklund, but Eklund getting a better run out of that corner, deposing Andrew Jordan to third. Ollie O'Donovan now just needs to stay in the tracks of Andrew Jordan, and that is exactly what he's doing. If he wants to win this championship, that's where he's going to win it. Per Eklund throwing the salve at the corner. Andrew Jordan then in third. Ollie O'Donovan is in fourth. We go on board with Andrew Jordan. Frantic stuff here behind the wheel of the Focus. Just the brake lights coming on there in the Saab as Jordan closes up behind Per Eklund. And Eklund there backing him up through the right-hander, taking a nudge, but just setting that car beautifully to exit the hairpin. Very, very slow, very tight at this hairpin. It's probably one of the tightest corners in all the British Rallycross circuits. Kevin Proctor there just announcing he's coming through as he gets ahead of our onboard man, James Bird. Kevin Proctor there had a really bad start, dropped him right back, but he's working his way back through the field and he could make amends for this one yet. Mike Seller having a good battle with James Bird further back. Great battle between these two. Seller there running out wide onto the grass and it all throws it all away. Can he get back though? Dermot Carnegie meanwhile at the head of the field, ahead of Per Eklund. Then Andrew Jordan closing up behind the Swede, just helping him around the corner, not for the first time. On board with Andrew Jordan. Now you can see the dust beginning to come up again. They had watered the circuit a little bit earlier in the day, but visibility really is disappearing very quickly here. The amount of dust being thrown up by the Saab there in front. Dermot Carnegie with his traditional Killiney flick. He's back on song at the end of this season. Per Eklund then ahead of Andrew Jordan. Then Ollie O'Donovan staying well out of the battle at this time. He knows that the two drivers up ahead are going to give Andrew Jordan plenty to think about, and all he's got to do is stay in the wheel tracks of Andrew Jordan. Through the rough then, this is the very, very slow part of the circuit. Jordan has a look at the inside line, but again in the Saab getting a better drag out of that corner. As Dermot Carnegie up in front, certainly with no intention of dropping this one, certainly not easily. If somebody wants to win this, they're going to have to fight him for it. Ollie O'Donovan coming through there. He's looking for championship honours. Not really interested in winning this particular one. Just wants to collect more points than Andrew Jordan, your third place man. And that's going to be sufficient for him. But what a season this has been. It's come right down to the wire. We've had some terrific action right the way through, and certainly the introduction of Per Eklund in the second part of the season has been a real bonus for us. This is a wonderful driver in a superb car. We go on board with Dermot Carnegie now as he comes back out onto the tarmac, comes up to the tight right-hander here, looking very, very composed. He's back where he likes to be. Had a very poor mid-season this year with car problems, but they've certainly been sorted out now, and he's doing an excellent job. He's on his last lap here. He's just got a couple of more corners to go before he sees the checkered flag. Spare a thought for Andrew Jordan, though. He must be very frustrated back there. He gets alongside Per Eklund, but gets himself on the wrong side, then bogged down through that very tight right-hander, and he can see his championship just slipping away from him now as they come back up to take the checker flag. Dermot Carnegie then takes the win. We look backwards from the rear window of Ollie O'Donovan's car, see Steve Hill come through behind him, and Ollie O'Donovan now just coming up to take the applause of his team and the checker flag. That's sufficient for him to take the championship. Andrew Jordan there offers his heartiest congratulations. A great drive between these two, great competitors on track and great friends off the track. Well, that fourth place finish was enough to secure the championship for Ollie O'Donovan. Adele joins both Ollie and Andrew down at the start-finish line.
I got the best start I've had all day and tried to go at the inside of Per. And I don't think he'd see me. It wasn't. I was on the grass coming down here, so that halted it a little bit. But you know, Ollie's champion, fair play.
Ollie is championship, but no one can take away the season you've had. You're fantastic.
Andrew's been quicker all year. I mean, you know, he's just trying out of luck there, a few mechanical errors, a few things, but he has been quicker all year. Like, he's just been unlucky. But as I say, he's got 20 more years to have another go.
Exactly, Andrew. You've got plenty of time. Let an old fella like this in.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I'll be back, definitely.
Well, that's it for this season for the Kumo Tyres British Rallycross Championship. And what a day it's been here in Croft for Irishman Ollie O'Donovan as he took the British title moments ago right here out on this very track. We've had such an eventful season's racing with lots of surprises along the way. Well, that's it for myself and the team at On The Limit Sports. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next year.